when a human warrior gave his blood to the dying alien princess. What happened was beyond belief. Captain Aaron Hale gripped the controls of his battered starfighter, his jaw tight, his eyes scanning the sensors for any sign of enemy movement. Around him, the human fleet clashed with the relentless forces of the Kravix, a war-hungry alien race that had torn through multiple star systems in the past decade. Explosions lit up the void as ships twisted, spun, and collided in deadly dances. Aaron's own fighter shuddered violently when a missile struck the wing. Sparks flew across the cockpit and warning lights blinked frantically. He cursed under his breath. "Not today, not now," he muttered. Survival was never guaranteed, but failure was not an option. Somewhere in this chaos, innocent lives depended on him. Humans had come far in the galaxy, but this battle might decide the fate of countless worlds. Even as he dodged laser fire, Aaron noticed a strange flare on his radar. A small, uncharted planet glowing faintly with a green-blue aura appeared near the battle zone. The sensors showed signs of life, alien life, but it was faint, weak, almost dying. He frowned. "That's not possible," he whispered. Something about the readings drew him in. And then the unexpected happened. His ship shook violently. A Kravix destroyer appeared suddenly, emerging from a debris cloud. Its weapons locked onto him. Aaron's fingers danced across the controls. "Come on, come on." His ship darted left and right, evading blasts, but a sudden impact rocked him, sending him spinning out of control. The stars became streaks of light. Warning sirens screamed. His hands were steady, but his heart raced. He had no time to think. With a desperate maneuver, he aimed his ship at the planet below. The crash was violent. Metal screamed and sparks flew as the fighter tore through the planet's thin atmosphere. Dust and smoke filled the cabin. Aaron gritted his teeth, bracing himself for impact. Then silence. When he opened his eyes, he was lying in soft grass on the planet's surface. The wreckage of his fighter smoldered nearby, twisted and broken. Pain shot through his body, but he forced himself to move. The readings on his damaged wrist scanner indicated the planet's atmosphere was breathable. At least he could survive for now. The world around him was strange but beautiful. Forests glimmered with faint bioluminescent plants. Strange crystal formations jutted from the ground, glowing softly in shades of blue and green. Aaron could hear the faint hum of alien wildlife in the distance. But there was danger, too. His scanner picked up life forms, weak signals, scattered, struggling. He frowned. "Something isn't right," he murmured. He had barely taken a step when a soft groan reached his ears. His instincts kicked in. Aaron crouched low, moving carefully through the luminous forest. The groans grew louder. He followed the sound until he found her, an alien lying in a clearing, covered in blood and sweat. Her skin was pale blue, her long hair a silvery white. She wore a damaged uniform, clearly royal, marked with symbols of authority. She gasped for breath, barely lifting her head to look at him. "Princess Sarai?" Aaron asked, his voice steady, even as his mind raced. "Are you alive?" The alien's eyes, a brilliant violet, flickered weakly. She managed a whisper. "I don't have much time." Her voice was soft, musical, but it carried pain and fear. Aaron's heart sank. He knew instantly that she had been poisoned. The readings from his scanner confirmed it. A rare toxin coursed through her veins. If untreated, she would die within hours. Aaron had faced death many times in battle, but nothing compared to the weight of a life in his hands. A life that could determine the fate of an entire alien empire. Humans had been at odds with the Lorian Dominion for decades. Their leaders had not trusted one another, and yet here lay Princess Sarai, alive, fragile, and utterly dependent on him. Aaron's jaw tightened. There was no question he could not leave her. He knelt beside her. "I don't know how to fix this yet," he admitted honestly. "But I'm going to try." She looked at him, a flicker of hope in her eyes. You are human," she whispered. Her voice carried both suspicion and wonder. Humans were known across the galaxy as strong, determined, but often selfish. She had been raised to fear them. Yet here he was, kneeling beside her, offering help without hesitation. Aaron examined her carefully. His mind raced through what he knew about alien physiology. Lorian biology was complex, different from anything he had seen, yet humans had an unusual resilience. Some reports suggested that human blood contained enzymes and proteins that could neutralize certain toxins in other species. But it was risky. Giving his blood to an alien could be fatal for him. He swallowed hard. "It's dangerous," he said. I might not survive this." "But you will," Princess Sarai's eyes widened. You would risk yourself? Aaron shrugged, trying to make it seem casual. Not risk myself, I'd save you. That's what humans do, we fight to protect, even when it's dangerous. She stared at him, stunned. For a moment, the forest around them seemed to fade, leaving only the two of them in that clearing. Then, pain forced her to lean weakly against him. Aaron supported her, moving her to a soft patch of grass. He tore a strip from his uniform to bind her wounds. Even small actions mattered, every second counted. Do you trust me? He asked quietly. I must, she said, her voice trembling. I have no choice. The human warrior nodded. He prepared himself. He drew a small needle and a container of his blood. Every fiber of his being warned him of the danger, but there was no hesitation. Survival for her meant risking his own life. That was the human way, courage, sacrifice, and hope, even against impossible odds. As he began the process, the forest seemed to hold its breath. Stars twinkled faintly through gaps in the trees. The hum of alien wildlife slowed, as if even the planet sensed the gravity of the moment. Princess Sarai winced as the first drops of blood entered her veins. Aaron gritted his teeth against the sudden weakness that coursed through him. Minutes passed like hours. The toxin fought back, spreading like fire in her system, but slowly her breathing stabilized. Color returned to her pale skin. Her eyes, once dim with the shadow of death, began to regain brightness. Aaron's energy, however, drained rapidly. He sank back on the grass, exhausted, yet a small smile crossed his face. You saved me, she whispered, awe in her voice. A human saved me. He shook his head weakly. I didn't save you alone. Humans, we fight, we endure, we hope. That's how we survive, that's how we win. Princess Sarai's gaze softened, and for the first time, fear gave way to gratitude and respect. She realized that humans were not merely strong in battle, they were strong in heart. Their courage and willingness to sacrifice themselves for others was a force beyond technology, beyond weapons, beyond strategy. It was something raw, undeniable, and awe-inspiring. Aaron coughed, his strength failing him, but his spirit remained unbroken. We need to move, he said. They'll be looking for us, we can't stay here. She nodded, struggling to rise with his help. Her royal training returned, but now it was tempered by a newfound humility. Lead the way, human warrior, she said. I will follow. Together they stepped into the alien forest, away from the wreckage, away from the chaos of battle. Each step was slow, careful, but determined. Aaron's mind raced, planning their next move. He had no idea what dangers awaited them, but he knew one thing: they were stronger together. And that strength, human strength, would not be underestimated. As night fell over the alien world, the stars above them burned like distant fires. Aaron glanced at Princess Sarai, who leaned weakly on his shoulder. We may not survive the night, he said quietly, but we will face it together. For the first time in her life, Princess Sarai felt hope. And in that hope, she realized something extraordinary. Humans, though small in number, were capable of greatness that went far beyond weapons or warships. They were capable of courage, of sacrifice, of heart. And that realization would change the galaxy forever. The alien forest was alive with sounds that were both beautiful and strange. Bioluminescent plants swayed gently in the soft breeze, casting shifting colors on the ground. Small creatures with glimmering eyes watched from the shadows. Yet, despite the calm beauty, danger lingered. Aaron Hale knew that the Kravix would not leave survivors, especially not a human warrior carrying a royal Lorraine princess. Princess Sarai leaned weakly on Aaron as they moved carefully along a narrow path, her breathing still uneven from the poison. Each step seemed to demand all her strength, but she refused to give in. Her royal pride urged her to appear strong, yet her eyes revealed vulnerability. Human, she said softly, her voice almost a whisper, why did you help me? You could have left me to die. Aaron glanced down at her, his jaw firm, his expression calm despite the weariness in his body. Because it was the right thing to do, he said simply. Humans survive not only because of skill, but because we care for others. It makes us stronger. We fight for more than ourselves. Sarai's violet eyes searched his, trying to understand. And you risked your own life so easily? Aaron shrugged. It wasn't easy. Every second I felt the risk, but knowing that you might survive, that's worth it. He gave her a small, reassuring smile. You'll learn that humans are unpredictable in ways you might not expect. We fight, we endure, we protect. That is who we are. The princess remained silent for a long moment, absorbing his words. She had lived all her life within the walls of the royal palace, protected and sheltered, trained in diplomacy and leadership. She had heard many tales about humans, stories of bravery, yes, but also of cruelty. And yet this one human had chosen compassion over self-preservation. That defiance of expectations struck something deep within her. Aaron led her deeper into the forest, moving slowly to allow her to rest when needed. The forest floor was uneven, covered in alien roots and moss that glowed faintly. Every shadow seemed alive, every distant noise hinting at unseen creatures. Even here, on a planet that seemed untouched, danger could strike at any moment. As they moved, Aaron examined her more closely. The poison in her system had slowed, but it was still present. Without proper treatment, her recovery would be slow and uncertain. He needed a solution, and fast. He recalled reports he had read during his training. Human blood contained enzymes and proteins that could neutralize toxins in alien bodies under certain conditions. But the procedure was risky. Too much blood loss, and he could die. Too little, and it might not work at all. Aaron stopped for a moment, resting against a tree. "Sarai," he said carefully, "there is something I need to tell you. The poison in your system, it's unusual, but there is a way to help you survive fully. My blood might neutralize it, but it is dangerous for me." The princess froze, her hands gripping his arm. "Dangerous? How dangerous?" "Very," Aaron admitted. "I might not survive the process, but if I don't try, you will die. There is no other known cure here, not in time." Sarai's violet eyes widened. She had faced danger many times before, but this was unlike anything she had imagined. The human standing before her, exhausted, wounded, yet still determined, was offering his life to save hers. She wanted to refuse to protect him, but she also knew that refusal could mean her death. "You would do this for me?" she asked, her voice trembling. "A human for a Lorraine princess?" Aaron's gaze was steady. "I do not see you as a title or a race. I see you as a person. And people deserve to live." The princess felt a strange warmth in her chest. It was hope, a fragile, trembling hope that she had not felt since she was poisoned. Slowly she nodded. "Then I will trust you." Aaron gave her a small smile. "Good, that trust will keep us alive." With care, Aaron prepared the procedure. He cleaned a small area on his arm, then extracted a small amount of blood. The alien princess winced as he brought the blood closer to her veins. He hesitated for only a moment, then injected it carefully. The reaction was immediate. The poison in her system began to resist, though her body trembled as it fought the toxin. Aaron felt a sudden weakness himself. His vision blurred, his muscles burned, and he had to sit down on the mossy ground. "It's working," he gasped, his voice weak but determined. "Stay strong." Princess Sarai's eyes widened as her strength slowly returned. Color came back to her pale skin, her breathing steadied, and the glow of life returned to her eyes. She looked at Aaron in awe, realizing that his life force, his very essence, was keeping her alive. "You saved me," she whispered, disbelief and gratitude mingling in her voice. Aaron smiled faintly, though exhaustion made it a struggle. "No," he said, shaking his head. "We saved each other. You survived because you had hope. I survived because I fought for it." "That is what humans do." The princess struggled to rise, leaning heavily on him. "We cannot stay here," she said. "The Kraviks will find us. They will not stop until we are dead." Aaron nodded, his mind already planning their next move. "We will move at night. The darkness will hide us. There are caves nearby, natural shelters. We can rest and plan." As the sun dipped below the horizon, the forest transformed. Shadows stretched long across the glowing plants, and strange night creatures emerged, their eyes gleaming in the dim light. Aaron and Sarai moved cautiously, every sound amplified in the stillness. Each step was deliberate, careful, but steady. Aaron could feel the lingering effects of the blood transfer. His strength was still low, his body weak, but his spirit remained strong. He would not let her down. Every human instinct pushed him forward, protect, endure, survive. And in that endurance he drew power, not from weapons, not from technology, but from the determination to protect life itself. Princess Sarai noticed the subtle changes in him. She had seen warriors fight with weapons, with strategy, with skill. But she had never seen someone fight with heart. His courage inspired her, and in turn, it gave her strength she did not know she had. After hours of slow, careful travel, they reached the mouth of a large cave. Its entrance was hidden by hanging vines and glowing moss, making it nearly invisible from a distance. Aaron helped her inside. The interior was cool, sheltered, and surprisingly dry. Small streams of water ran along the walls, and the glow of crystals gave the space a soft, calming light. "This will do for now," Aaron said, lowering her gently to the ground. He collapsed beside her, utterly exhausted. "We rest here. Tomorrow we plan." Sarai looked at him, her eyes filled with a mix of gratitude and wonder. "Human, I do not understand fully. Why would you risk everything for me? For someone you barely know?" Aaron chuckled softly, a tired but genuine sound. "Because it is the right thing." Humans are strange that way. We do not always fight for ourselves. We fight for hope, for life, for others. Sometimes that hope is all that stands between survival and death. Sarai considered his words, feeling a shift in her heart. All her life, she had believed that strength came from power, from armies, from fear. Yet here was a human, one individual, whose courage and kindness could challenge fate itself. She realized that perhaps humans were not to be underestimated, not because of their weapons or skill, but because of the depth of their hearts. Night deepened, and the cave became quiet. Aaron slept briefly, his body recovering some strength. Princess Sarai sat beside him, her thoughts racing. She knew that their journey was only beginning. The forest was filled with dangers, both known and unknown. And yet, despite the uncertainty, a new bond had formed, a bond built on trust, courage, and sacrifice. By the time the first light of dawn filtered into the cave, Sarai was ready. She stood, tested her strength, and found herself steadier than before. Aaron stirred, opening his eyes to meet her gaze. "Feeling better?" he asked with a weak smile. "Yes," she replied, a hint of determination in her voice. "Thanks to you." Aaron nodded, knowing that the days ahead would be difficult. They would face enemies, navigate unfamiliar terrain, and confront dangers neither could predict. But together they were stronger. Humans were not perfect. They were flawed, often reckless, yet their courage and determination could defy expectations. And now Princess Sarai had witnessed that strength firsthand. "Let's move," he said, rising slowly. "We cannot wait for danger to find us. We create our own path forward." Sarai followed, her steps steady and confident. The forest that had seemed so alien yesterday now felt slightly less frightening. For the first time in her life, she understood a truth that would shape her actions for years to come. Humans were extraordinary, not because of power or weapons, but because of their hearts. And as they stepped into the forest together, moving toward an uncertain future, the bond between human and Lorraine princess grew stronger, a bond that would change the fate of worlds. The alien forest grew darker with each passing hour. Shadows stretched across the glowing moss, and strange noises echoed from deep within the trees. Every snap of a branch, every rustle in the undergrowth, made Aaron Hale's senses sharpen. He had fought countless battles in space, but nothing had prepared him for the quiet, patient danger of this alien world. Princess Sarai followed closely, her strength returning but her body still fragile from the poison. Her violet eyes scanned the forest with a mix of caution and curiosity. She had survived because of Aaron, but now survival depended on both of them. She trusted him completely, and that trust gave her courage she had never known before. "We need to move faster," Aaron said quietly. His voice was calm but firm. "The Kravix will not stop searching. They will find us if we linger too long." Sarai nodded. "I can manage. I'm stronger than I was yesterday." "Good," Aaron replied. "We have to reach higher ground. From there we can see the surrounding area and plan our next move." The forest was uneven and filled with obstacles. They climbed over twisted roots, waded through shallow streams, and navigated around glowing crystal formations that glimmered like tiny stars. Each step tested their endurance, but Aaron's determination never wavered. He was not just leading them forward, he was carrying hope, and he knew that hope could make the difference between life and death. As they approached a ridge, a sudden noise froze them in place. A low, rumbling growl echoed from the shadows ahead. Aaron instinctively reached for his sidearm, but the weapon felt heavy in his hands. The creature stepped into the faint light, its body large and muscular, covered in black scales that shimmered under the bioluminescent forest light. Its eyes glowed red and it bared sharp teeth. Sarai gasped. "What is that?" "Predator," Aaron said, his voice steady. "Native to this planet, usually avoids humans, but it smells fear and weakness." The creature moved closer, its claws scratching against the crystal-strewn ground. Aaron's mind raced. They could try to fight, but he knew his energy was limited. He had to find another solution, strategy over strength. "Stay behind me," he whispered. "I'll handle this." The creature lunged. Aaron dodged quickly, using his agility to avoid its sharp claws. He grabbed a fallen branch, using it as a makeshift weapon. He struck the creature, but it only hissed and swiped at him with more force. The battle was tense, and every move had to be precise. One wrong step could mean death for both of them. Sarai watched, her heart pounding. She had seen warriors fight before, but Aaron's approach was different. He was not just attacking, he was thinking, predicting, and protecting. The human fought with intelligence and heart, not just strength. Finally, Aaron saw an opening. He aimed a precise strike at the creature's sensitive underbelly. The creature roared, stumbling back. Seizing the moment, Aaron grabbed Sarai's hand. "Run!" he shouted. They dashed through the forest, branches whipping against their faces. The creature pursued for a short distance, then, seeing no easy target, retreated into the shadows. Aaron didn't stop running until the ridge was behind them and the forest stretched safely ahead. Sarai collapsed on the ground, breathing heavily. "You saved me again," she said, her voice filled with awe. "I don't know how you do it." Aaron shook his head, exhausted but composed. "It's not about strength alone," he said. "It's about staying calm, thinking ahead, and never giving up. That's what makes humans survive." They rested briefly, and Aaron scanned the horizon. From their elevated position, they could see the Kravik's patrols moving through the distant valleys. The enemy forces were organized, relentless, and closing in. Aaron's mind worked quickly, calculating possible escape routes and safe locations. "We can't fight them head-on," he said. "Too many, too strong. We need to outsmart them, and we need to reach the ancient ruins to the east. There may be shelter, maybe even old Lorraine technology that could help us." Sarai's eyes widened. "The ruins, many say they are cursed. No one dares go near them." Aaron gave a small smile. "Cursed or not, it's better than staying here and waiting to be caught." The journey to the ruins was treacherous. The forest grew thicker, the terrain more difficult. Strange plants emitted hallucinogenic spores, forcing them to cover their mouths and noses with cloth. Hidden pits and sudden drops demanded constant vigilance. Yet Aaron never faltered. His human instincts guided them through the obstacles, his courage giving Sarai confidence she had never felt before. Along the way, they encountered more dangers. Packs of smaller predators lurked in the shadows, snapping and hissing as they approached. Aaron fought them off using a combination of skill and quick thinking, always protecting Sarai first. Each encounter reinforced the bond between them. The princess was no longer just a figure of royalty. She was a survivor, learning from the human beside her. During a rare moment of rest, Sarai spoke quietly. "I do not understand. Humans are fragile compared to our warriors, yet you face danger without hesitation. Why?" Aaron looked at her, his eyes reflecting both weariness and determination. "We survive because we care, not because we are invincible. Fear is natural, but courage is choosing to act despite fear. That is what makes humans strong." Sarai nodded slowly, absorbing his words. She realized that humans were different from what she had been taught. Strength was not measured by armor or weaponry alone. It was measured by heart, by willingness to risk everything for others. As night fell again, they reached a cliff overlooking the ruins. The structures were ancient, carved from black stone that shimmered faintly under the starlight. Crumbling towers and broken walls hinted at a civilization long gone. Yet even in decay, there was a sense of power and mystery. "This is it," Aaron said softly. "We can rest here, plan our next move, and maybe find something to help us survive." They descended carefully into the ruins. Inside, the air was cool, carrying a faint hum of energy from long-forgotten technology. Sarai's eyes widened as she explored the space. These are artifacts of my people, long abandoned, yet still powerful." Aaron examined the ruins with curiosity. "If we can understand their technology, it might give us an edge. It could help us survive the Kraviks." As they settled in, Aaron used his limited strength to activate a small console. Sparks of energy flickered across the ancient interface. Slowly, the systems hummed to life, casting light across the ruins. A holographic map appeared, showing the surrounding region and enemy movements. This could be useful," Aaron said. "We can track patrols, find safe routes, maybe even lure them away if necessary." Sarai's gaze lingered on him, admiration growing. You think so quickly, even when exhausted. Humans truly are remarkable." Aaron shrugged modestly. "We adapt, we endure, and sometimes we survive by thinking differently than anyone expects." Their temporary safety allowed them to rest and recover. Sarai tended to Aaron's minor injuries, helping him regain some strength. The exchange of care deepened their bond. They were no longer simply warrior and princess. They were allies, partners, and friends united by shared survival and trust. But the calm could not last. In the distance, the faint glow of Kravik's searchlights appeared, moving methodically through the forest. Aaron's scanner picked up multiple signals. The enemy was closing in, their patrols tightening the net. "We won't have much time," Aaron said. "Tomorrow, we move further east. We need to find a place to hide permanently or we'll be trapped." Sarai nodded, determination in her eyes. "I will follow you, human. You have saved me twice. I will trust you to guide us." Aaron smiled faintly. "And I will do everything I can to keep you alive." "That's a promise." As the night deepened, they prepared for the coming challenges. The ruins offered shelter, but they were not invincible. The Kraviks would not stop, and the forest held more dangers than they had yet seen. Every step would demand courage. Every decision could mean life or death. Yet, despite the uncertainty, Aaron and Sarai were stronger together. The human's determination, his courage, and his willingness to sacrifice himself had changed the princess's understanding of the universe. She realized that humans were extraordinary, not because of size, armor, or weaponry, but because of their hearts. And as the first light of a new day touched the ruins, Aaron Hale and Princess Sarai prepared to face the challenges ahead, knowing that survival would depend not only on skill, but on trust, courage, and the unbreakable bond they had formed in the heart of a dangerous world. The galaxy around them was full of threats, yet for the first time the Lorraine princess felt hope, a hope born from one human warrior's unwavering courage. The ruins stretched across the valley, ancient and silent, yet alive with faint echoes of a long-forgotten civilization. The glow of the holographic map still illuminated the chamber where Aaron Hale and Princess Sarai had taken refuge. The human warrior had regained some strength, though his body still bore the marks of the journey, the poison transfer, and the relentless forest. Sarai, now stronger than she had been since the poison nearly killed her, stood beside him, eyes focused and determined. "We cannot wait here any longer," Aaron said, tracing the holographic map with his finger. "The Kravik's patrols are closing in faster than we thought." "If we do not move, they will trap us," Sarai nodded. "I trust your plan, human. Where do we go next?" Aaron pointed eastward toward a narrow canyon visible on the map. "Through the canyon, it leads to higher ground and a natural fortress of rock. We can hide, rest, and plan from there. From that position, we can also monitor enemy movement and make a counterplan." Sarai studied the map with him, feeling a sense of respect for the human's quick thinking. "Humans, you have a way of seeing paths that others do not." "It is remarkable," Aaron smiled faintly. "We survive because we adapt. Thinking fast is the difference between life and death." With a plan in place, they prepared to move. The night was quiet, but every shadow seemed dangerous. Aaron led the way, carefully scanning the forest floor and listening for the faintest sounds. Sarai followed, her violet eyes alert to any movement. Though she had grown stronger, she still relied on Aaron's guidance. Together, they navigated the dense forest, avoiding pitfalls, thorny undergrowth, and the glowing spores that could cause disorientation. Suddenly, a distant sound stopped them in their tracks, a low, mechanical hum that carried across the valley. Aaron's jaw tightened. "Kravik's drones," he whispered. "They are scanning the area. If they detect us, the patrols will converge immediately." Sarai's eyes widened. "Can we hide?" Aaron nodded, pointing to a small outcropping of rocks near a stream. "Quickly, get behind the rocks and stay low. They rely on sensors as much as sight. If we remain still, they may pass." They pressed themselves against the stones, the cool rock grounding them as the drone passed by. Its lights scanned the area, red beams moving slowly, methodically. Aaron held his breath, calculating every angle. After what felt like an eternity, the drone moved on, leaving only the sound of the forest in its wake. "Close call," he muttered, wiping sweat from his brow. Sarai's hand found his. "You keep saving me, human. Why?" Aaron looked at her, his eyes steady and sincere. "Because hope matters, because life matters, and because someone must fight when others cannot. Humans endure for each other. That is what makes us strong." They continued toward the canyon, the terrain becoming steeper and more challenging. Climbing was difficult, but Aaron's endurance and guidance helped Sarai navigate safely. The closer they got, the more the ruins of the canyon revealed themselves, rock formations that formed natural walls, hiding places, and vantage points over the surrounding valley. As dawn broke, they reached the canyon's entrance. From this vantage, they could see Kravik's patrols moving across the distant fields, scanning the terrain with unyielding precision. Aaron knelt, studying the map again. "We have a chance here," he said. "We can control the high ground. If they approach, we can set traps and create confusion. That might be enough to escape or at least buy time." Sarai examined the landscape, understanding for the first time the human approach to survival. They were not fighting blindly. Every movement, every choice was calculated. "You truly think ahead, Aaron. I can see why humans survive against overwhelming odds." He smiled faintly. "It's not about invincibility. It's about courage, endurance, and strategy. We make the impossible possible because we refuse to give up." The morning passed as they prepared their position. Using fallen branches, rocks, and natural traps, they set up defenses. Sarai's knowledge of Lorraine history proved invaluable. She recognized certain patterns in the terrain that could be used to their advantage. Aaron admired her intelligence and adaptability. Together, they turned the canyon into a stronghold, a place where two people could withstand greater numbers. By midday, the first signs of Kravik's patrols appeared in the valley below. Small reconnaissance units moved cautiously, unaware of the humans above. Aaron whispered instructions to Sarai, guiding her on when to remain hidden, when to move rocks to trigger noise, and how to use the natural cover to remain unseen. Their cooperation was seamless, the bond between warrior and princess growing stronger with every decision. Hours passed. The sun began to set, painting the canyon walls in shades of gold and orange. The patrols grew more numerous, signaling that the Kraviks were aware of intruders in the area. Aaron's heart remained steady, his focus unshakable. He knew that one wrong move could be fatal. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the canyon. A patrol had spotted movement near the edge. Aaron reacted instantly, pulling Sarai behind a large boulder. "Stay low," he ordered. "We cannot let them know we are here." The patrol moved closer, their alien voices faint but sharp. They scanned methodically, unaware of the traps Aaron had set. As one soldier approached a cleverly arranged pile of rocks, Aaron triggered the trap with a small lever. Rocks tumbled down, creating a loud crash that drew the patrol's attention and caused confusion. Sarai watched in awe as Aaron guided the situation, using both strategy and courage to protect them. "You are incredible, human," she whispered. Aaron shook his head. "No, Sarai. Humans are not incredible because of strength. We are incredible because we fight when others would flee. We endure when survival seems impossible. That is what makes hope real." By nightfall, the patrols had moved on, frustrated by the canyon's confusing terrain and traps. Aaron and Sarai breathed a sigh of relief, but they knew the battle was far from over. Their temporary safety was just the beginning. The humans' ingenuity and bravery had kept them alive, but the Kraviks would not stop. As they rested, Sarai tended to Aaron's minor wounds, a gesture of care that mirrored his own earlier actions. The trust and respect between them had deepened beyond survival. It had become a bond that neither could ignore. "I have learned much from you, Aaron," Sarai said softly. "Humans are more than warriors. You show courage, intelligence, and heart. That is something I will never forget." Aaron smiled, exhausted but satisfied. "And I have learned from you, Sarai. You are brave, intelligent, and resourceful. Together we can face anything." The night in the canyon was quiet, but the air was thick with anticipation. The humans and the Lorraine princess had found a moment of safety, but they knew danger lurked in every shadow. The Kraviks were relentless, and the path forward would demand every ounce of courage, strategy, and endurance they possessed. Aaron lay back against a rock, looking up at the stars. He thought about the journey so far, the poison, the forest, the predators, the relentless patrols. And yet through it all, hope remained. Hope had survived the darkness, had guided them through danger, and had forged a bond stronger than fear. Sarai watched him quietly, her thoughts filled with admiration and gratitude. She realized that survival was not only about physical strength, it was about heart, intelligence, and trust. Humans, she understood now, were extraordinary because they believed in life, even when the odds were against them. As the first light of dawn touched the canyon walls, they prepared to move once more. Their path would be difficult, the dangers unpredictable. But for the first time, the Lorraine princess felt not fear, but determination. She had witnessed human courage firsthand, and it had changed her forever. Aaron stood, offering his hand to her. Together, he said, no matter what comes, we face it together. Sarai took his hand, her grip firm and resolute. Together, she agreed. And with that, they stepped forward, ready to face the challenges ahead, their bond and courage lighting the way. In the face of impossible odds, one human warrior and a Lorraine princess had discovered that hope, strategy, and unbreakable spirit could turn the tide of destiny itself. The morning sun stretched its golden light over the jagged canyon walls, casting long shadows across the terrain. Captain Aaron Hale and Princess Sarai stood at the edge, looking down into the valley below. The Kravix forces were there, vast in number, their patrols scouring the forest in a relentless hunt. It seemed impossible, an entire army against two individuals. Yet neither Aaron nor Sarai faltered. Aaron's eyes swept over the landscape, noting every ridge, every hidden path, every possible advantage. "We have one chance," he said quietly. "We cannot fight them head-on, but we can outsmart them, and that is where humans shine." Sarai nodded, determination gleaming in her violet eyes. "Lead the way, human. We will follow you." Together, they descended carefully into the canyon, moving silently over the rocky ground. Aaron had studied the terrain and prepared traps and obstacles during their previous night in the ruins. Every rock, every fallen branch, every natural pitfall would work in their favor. As they neared the valley floor, the first Kravix patrols came into view. The aliens were imposing, tall, armored, and relentless in their search, but Aaron remained calm. "Stay close," he whispered to Sarai. "We will create confusion and strike only when the time is right." They waited in the shadows, letting the patrols pass near the traps. Then, with precise timing, Aaron triggered the first obstacle. Rocks tumbled down a slope, crashing into patrol units below. Shouts and alarms rang out as the Kravix scrambled to respond. Aaron and Sarai moved swiftly, staying ahead of the chaos. The aliens pursued, but the humans were always one step ahead. Traps activated at intervals, creating confusion and frustration. The Kravix were strong, but their numbers worked against them in the narrow canyon. Each trap delayed them, slowed them, and allowed Aaron and Sarai to advance safely. Sarai, now fully recovered, moved with skill beside Aaron. She helped trigger traps, guided them over unstable terrain, and offered insight into the best paths forward. The bond between them had grown into a true partnership. Her admiration for humans deepened as she realized that strength was more than physical. It was intelligence, courage, and the willingness to sacrifice for others. As they approached the center of the canyon, a larger Kravix force emerged, led by a heavily armored commander. His presence brought a surge of tension to the battlefield. Aaron crouched behind a boulder, analyzing the situation. "We cannot face him directly. But if we draw him into the traps, we can use his aggression against him," Sarai nodded. "And if we survive, we show our people what humans are capable of." Aaron smiled faintly. "Exactly. Humans are extraordinary not because we fight alone, but because we fight with purpose and heart." The battle began in earnest. Kravix soldiers pressed forward, unaware of the hidden dangers in the canyon. Aaron and Sarai moved fluidly, coordinating their movements, setting off traps at precise moments. Rocks fell, pit traps swallowed armored soldiers, and natural obstacles slowed the enemy advance. The humans were outnumbered, but the terrain and their strategy turned the odds in their favor. Amid the chaos, Sarai noticed something extraordinary. The poison that had nearly killed her days before had not only been neutralized, it had somehow enhanced her resilience. She could move faster, think quicker, and endure more than ever before. Aaron, though exhausted, watched her with pride. The bond forged by sacrifice had created something beyond belief, a partnership that combined human ingenuity and Lorraine's strength. The Kravix commander roared in frustration, trying to coordinate his forces. But every move he made played into Aaron and Sarai's plan. The humans' courage and quick thinking kept them one step ahead, and slowly the enemy began to falter. At a critical moment, Aaron realized they could end the pursuit without further bloodshed. He led the remaining Kravix forces toward a natural chute in the canyon, narrow and treacherous. "Now, Sarai," he shouted. Together, they triggered a series of rocks and debris, blocking the exit and creating a natural barrier. The Kravix were trapped, unable to advance, unable to retreat. Their weapons were rendered ineffective by the terrain. Confusion and panic spread among their ranks. Aaron and Sarai stepped forward, visible at last. The Kravix commander glared at them, disbelief in his eyes. Impossible, he growled. Two beings against my army? Aaron stood tall, exhaustion and determination etched across his face. It is not impossible, he said. It is human courage and intelligence. It is hope, strategy, and the willingness to protect life. That is what makes humans extraordinary. The Kravik's commander hesitated, realizing that his forces were trapped and demoralized. Slowly, he lowered his weapon, signaling surrender. The remaining soldiers followed suit. Aaron and Sarai had achieved the impossible, not through brute strength, but through heart, ingenuity, and unwavering courage. Sarai turned to Aaron, her eyes shining with respect and gratitude. You, humans, are beyond anything I imagined. You do not fight for power, you fight for life, for hope, for others. That is remarkable. Aaron shook his head. No, Sarai, we do what anyone should do, but we do not give up. That is what makes the difference. Courage and hope, they can overcome even the greatest odds. With the Kravik's forces neutralized, Aaron and Sarai made their way to the nearest Lorraine outpost. The princess called for reinforcements and medical aid. Her people arrived, astonished to find the human warrior who had not only saved their princess but had defeated an overwhelming enemy through strategy and courage. Lorraine leaders approached Aaron with awe. Your bravery, your actions, have changed everything, one said. Humans are not simply warriors, you are heroes, Aaron smiled humbly. I did what anyone would do to protect life, that is all. Princess Sarai stepped forward, her voice carrying across the outpost. I am alive because of this human warrior. He gave his blood to save me, led me through danger, and showed what true courage is. The galaxy should remember that humans are not to be underestimated. The Lorraine people watched in silence, absorbing the truth. Their prejudice and fear dissolved in the light of what they had witnessed. Humanity had shown its greatest strength, not in war, but in heart, in sacrifice, and in unwavering courage. Over the following days, Aaron rested and recovered with the help of the Lorraine healers. Sarai stayed by his side, sharing stories of her people, learning about humans, and reflecting on the lessons she had gained. A bond of mutual respect and admiration had formed, one that would influence relations between their peoples for generations. The galaxy itself seemed to acknowledge the extraordinary events. News of a human warrior saving a Lorraine princess and defeating an overwhelming enemy spread quickly, inspiring hope among humans and aliens alike. Humans were no longer seen as mere survivors. They were symbols of courage, heart, and hope. Aaron and Sarai met in the grand halls of the Lorraine Palace to formalize peace talks. The princess, once fragile and uncertain, now radiated strength and determination. She spoke of unity, trust, and mutual respect. Humans and Lorraines would work together to protect their worlds, to prevent the rise of threats like the Kraviks, and to celebrate the extraordinary strength found in courage and heart. Aaron listened quietly, proud yet humble. His actions had changed the course of history, but he understood that the true heroism was not his alone. It was the resilience and hope of humanity, the willingness to fight for life and for others against impossible odds. The ceremony ended, and Sarai approached him privately. I will never forget what you did for me, Aaron. You gave your life to save mine, and in doing so, you changed the future. Aaron smiled faintly. You survived, Princess. That is enough. Humans endure, and we fight to protect life. That is our gift and our responsibility. She nodded, her eyes glistening. I now understand. Humans are extraordinary because of what they carry in their hearts, not only because of what they wield in their hands. The galaxy will remember this day. As they stepped outside, the sun rose fully over the horizon, bathing the world in golden light. The air was filled with a sense of peace and hope. Aaron looked out over the valley, knowing that the fight was far from over in the universe, but that humanity's courage would always shine as a beacon. Sarai stood beside him, stronger, wiser, and inspired by the human warrior who had risked everything to save her. Together, they looked toward a future built on trust, courage, and the unbreakable bonds formed in the heart of danger. And somewhere deep within the galaxy, where stars burned bright in the endless darkness, a simple truth was recognized by all who heard the story. Humans are extraordinary, not just for their strength, their skill, or their ingenuity, but for the courage, heart, and hope that guide them through the impossible. What began as a simple act of sacrifice had grown into a legend. A human warrior's blood had saved a princess, forged an alliance, and inspired hope across worlds. And as the stars shimmered above, the galaxy understood what it had always underestimated. the true power of humanity.